they're talking about. I'm making my own decisions. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I am coming at you today with my co-star All Dolled Up from Sharby, and we are interviewing Grant Jones of Chadette on Soul about memes, love, life, and more. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon and smashing that super chat button down below. Mr. Grant Jones, how the heck are you?
I am doing well. I'm excited to be here.
All right, very good. Are you? I don't know if I don't know if you want to say. You don't have to say. Are you still in Long Island, or are you have moved away from the?
I'm in New York.
New York. I could tell, but before you even finished that sentence, I could tell it was New York. There's yeah. I should have just asked you to pronounce scoreboard. And like, yeah, the scoreboard.
Scoreboard.
Yeah,
Coffee.
Dude, what has been going on with the Yankee? Like freaking Aaron Judge, 4 homers in 3 games, 36 runs in 3 games. What are y'all doing to your bats? What is it?
Well, to be honest with you, I am a wannabe Yankees fan. In other words, I've always been a Yankees fan, but I don't follow sports anymore. So when they're in the series, I'm all of a sudden I'm a huge fan, but I don't follow the season.
Every October.
Everybody else do that stress. And then I was a huge Yankees fan when I was a kid. Let's go back to 1980. That's when the Yankees were my team. I think I can name everybody from the 80s team. But
wow.
After like 82, I think I got into music and my path went a different way, and I just didn't follow sports after that.
Gotcha. Well, it's nice to know that you have.
Yankees, my team.
Nice to know that you have every October you come alive and you become a Yankees fan again. That's great. Yeah, I used to follow sports a lot. I was a Cardinals fan when I was younger, and then because like Mark McGwire roided out of his mind, just hitting home runs. How could you not love him? It was great. It was so good. And then they got rid of him. They got Albert Pujols. Was like, oh man, Cardinals is still freaking awesome. Watched the New York Jets, Islanders a bit, and then typical Long Islander Jets and Islanders. But yeah, so you said you got more into music. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about the did you get into like violin? Did you get into guitar, singing? What did you do?
I played keyboards. I started learning how to play piano at 14 and started playing in bands at 16, and I just went hardcore with bands I played for a living for a good 15 years. And did some small stuff, some big stuff, and had a lot of fun along the way, and slowly kind of transformed out of that. I don't play live anymore like in a band. I wish I did. I think one day I will again, but yeah, that's kind of, in a nutshell, I had sort of a 15-year.
15. So that was all right. That's cool. So you did it until, I guess, if you started at 14,
20s into my 30s.
Oh, you came broken up in there for a second, but now you're good. So yeah, if you did it until your 30s, and let's say if in 1980 you were. I'm sorry.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but
my audio
I'm
cut
not.
out.
Can you hear me? I mean, I hear all of you now.
All right.
I hear.
You know what it is? It cut out of Bluetooth. Now I hear it out of my phone, so that's fine. Now I can hear you.
All right, cool. Yeah. So I'm guesstimating here. If you were between 8 and 10 years old in 1980, when you loved the Yankees and you played music up until, I'm guessing, around 2000. Was that the time you played, or maybe more? Maybe like early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. Yeah,
nice.
Early 2000s.
What type of music did you play?
A lot of classic rock. That was a big part, and even pop stuff that was popular then.
Yeah.
But a lot of classic rock. 60s, 70s.
Did you ever do any like you said, popular stuff back in the day, like early 2000s, like Avril Lavigne or Cascada?
No, we didn't do that. We did. I mean, we did a lot of like Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Billy Joel, Elton John, The Who, Rolling Stones, tons of like classic party dance songs from the '60s and '70s, and then we did a lot of '90s tunes like that were big in the radio at the time. So
Yeah,
any song that was big in the early to mid '90s, we were doing those on the top 10. So that kind of stuff.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Did any of this go into your love of crypto? Like, did you say like, hey, there's this beautiful symmetry that I used to see in the notes. It's mathematical, the same as blockchain, where it's all math, it's all numbers. Or was it much simpler than that, where you're just like, yo, I can make so much money with this, and then you just go into it?
No, I had really no connection at all. I got involved with crypto in 17. I actually jumped in. I heard of Bitcoin, but I didn't really know much about it. And obviously when I first heard about it in like 15 and 16, it was kind of like, oh, I think that's that scam thing everyone keeps talking about. And then at 17, right at the bull market, mid-December, when we hit 19K, that's when I was like, oh my God, Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm getting in. I'm going to make a lot of money. And of course, I bought at the top, and I lost a shitload of money for the next 2 years. And I learned a lot. And then I rode that cycle out. And then I kind of understood a little bit what was going on. I still didn't nail the 21 cycle, but I did better. And then from 21, I got it. I clicked. I understood what was going on, and I was ready for the 22 bear market. And I started DCAing the whole time in. And now I'm locked in, and I know about 100 times more now than I did even 4 years ago.
Yeah. So obviously you got into Bitcoin. I feel like most people got into Bitcoin back. That's like the first one. Um, what drove you from the powerhouse that is Bitcoin to not just altcoins but meme coins? How did it progress there? Did you like, you know what? Let me try XRP. Let me try Solana. Let me try Polygon Matic, and then it did it progressively, or you just saw the super low market caps and people making 10,000x returns, and you just jumped right to the memes?
So my process, my thinking of that was, obviously, I'll fast forward. I'm not even going to go through the 17 when I first was in that first cycle. So when I got into the 21 cycle, I got into the altcoins. So I was like big into DOT and Avalanche and Solana and all the popular stuff that was going on in 21. Or I should say 20. And then I started getting really into DeFi, metaverse, and NFTs. So started buying up some of those, and I just kind of you know kind of rode the cycle of the popularity of metaverse, NFTs, and DeFi. The DeFi is where you get like, 500,000 APR, that API, that kind of stuff. Like the Wonderlands and, all that kind of stuff. The Titanos, I was big into that stuff. Anyway, then, come back, the bear market hits in 22, 23, everything's silent. I actually got really big into Richard Hart stuff like Hex, Pulse Chain, Pulse X. And that's just been a controversial ride, and hasn't been doing too well for the entire time it's been out. So after that phase, that was like the 22, 23 phase. My 24 phase, I was like, this was early January. I was like, meme coins are definitely the NFT metaverse of the 25 cycle. So I'm gonna get on this ride now because I'm not gonna miss this boom before it goes. So I started learning about memes in January, February of 24. And then I started, I basically loaded up some Solana, and I was like, let me fuck around and find out, just let's do it. So I started out with like, buy one Sol, and I get all excited, and I'd watch it drop a minute later. I'd throw another Sol in, and this one would ride for 4 minutes. It would drop to zero. I would be like, all right, I'm doing something wrong. And I did that about 50 times, and lost every time. But then eventually I started to figure out, which kind of popular memes, especially the ones in the Matt Fury space, were were solid. They would like do their thing, but I was getting into them late. And then eventually, fast forward after a bunch of rides, and um, I got involved with one coin that I helped really build from the bottom, along with some other sort of founding CTO members. We did really good with that, but to be honest with you, I don't even like to talk about that coin, and we had a falling out. So I just parted. I don't even like to talk about it. It's forbidden to me. But I learned a ton. We brought it to 78 million from 60K, and I took all that knowledge and all the good stuff, and stumbled on Chadette from a good friend of mine from that coin. And we started getting into it really early, and you're really gambling, because it's like this was pre-bonding on Moonshot, so 99% of a chance it was going to go to zero, but we took a chance. And my friend, talked to the team, the dev team, and said, "Listen, guys, what's going on with this? Are you, do you, where are you at? Do you need help?" And it was a very ethical conversation. And my friend was like, "Look, these guys are really good people, and they really see the I guess they see the potential of teaming up with other people that are like-minded and have a lot of good experience, and let's take this thing to another level." So he came back to me and he's like, "Grant, I think we can help take this coin along with them to the whole different level." So we jumped in early, and we've been grinding for a little bit over a month now, and Chadette is where it's at now. And I mean, there's a whole novel to tell you about what's happened in the last month, but in a nutshell, the team and the expanded sort of team of friends and partners that are helping run this are amazing. Everybody's ethical. Everyone's open-minded. There's no serious egos. There's no major clashing. If we have disagreements, we figure it out. We work it out. We move forward. Everybody has the same vision in mind. And it's just a bunch of good people, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, a lot of money, a lot of top holders that are part of helping, run it and grow it and build it. And it's exciting. I'm so excited to be here now. This is where we're at today. So that's where my journey has taken me.
So is Mr. Bojangles here the founder?
Well, Bo is actually the friend. He was the friend that
Gotcha.
came from the other coin. The founder. The official alarm's going off. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
I just want to make sure my alarm didn't mess up. Can you still hear me, Randy?
I can still hear you, yes.
Oh wait, now the audio cut out on my end. Hold on a second.
Oop, rip.
That's weird. Give me a second here. Hear audio.
Yep, I can still hear you.
All right, now I hear you.
Sweet.
We're gonna mute. All right. So anyway, so Bo Jangles was my friend that told me about the coin. He's the one who had talked to the devs, and the devs of Chadette. You have Greg, who is the official developer of the coin, but he also is partners with Kevin and Chris. So these are like the three core founding members, and Bo had talked to them, and then Bo brought me in, and then also Bo brought some other friends of our former coin in that are good people, and we just kind of grew from there, and it's just been amazing. Everybody's awesome. We're working together to grow this thing, but that's sort of like the initial infrastructure, and it's grown from that point.
There was a token that came out at some point last year called Brit, and tried to follow the success of Brett, because Brett's obviously a superstar on base. And they said, you know what, Brett needs a girlfriend, so let's make Brit. Obviously, if you go onto whether it's CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap or even whatever, there's Charles the Chad, there's Base Chad, there's Chad Coin, there's a whole bunch of these. When you guys came up with, or when they came up with Chadette, was that the idea of saying like, hey, let's give Chad a girlfriend, or was it trying to say like, hey, trying to really lock into like the simps out there and the incels, saying like, you know what, we don't need Chad. Chadette is for you guys. We're tired of Chad. Like, what? Tell me the mindset and the story behind Chadette on how
Well,
on basically the lore.
yeah. Well, I know that. Well, first off, Greg, Kevin, and Chris would be able to go down a deeper level with this, but to kind of fill you in from their perspective, the idea was they were kind of experimenting with a bunch of different meme coins, just kind of having fun. Let's try this one. Okay, it didn't work. Let's try this one, and then they stumbled on Chadette, and the idea was every Chad deserves a Chadette, right? That was the concept. That was the sort of slogan line that inspired this. So from that point, the idea was, yeah, there's a Chad. Everybody knows Giga Chad's a big thing. Hey, why don't we make and the concept of Chad, from terminology in the crypto world. Hey, let's make Chadette. There's really no Chadette. So that's really where the basic concept came from. But it kind of morphed into something so much bigger than I think everybody realized. But it came out of the gate with some pretty cool branding. That got my attention and Bojangles' attention too immediately. So it kind of morphed within a few weeks into the idea like, hey, you know what? Nobody really represents females in the Web3 space. And we can actually be a connection, a conduit, and a community and a place, a home for women who are in Web3, who want to either have confidence or want to build confidence. They want to be empowered, and they want a place where they're respected and a place that they can call home. And, granted, Chadette is absolutely, filled with many males as well, of course. But it's a coin, it's a token that's, it's both male and female, but it has so much potential to open up the audience of females in the crypto space more than I think any meme coin out there. And the women that are even part of this project and that are working behind the scenes or are influential or are, future partners or currently partners with us, this ecosystem is kind of expanding like a spider web as we speak. It's getting bigger and bigger. And every time we talk to a new female that's influential and gets excited about Chadette or stumbled across it, we have conversations, and the bullishness is just through the roof, and the excitement from them is just as I expected, which is this is an actual token that we can embrace, that can empower us as women, and that we could share with other females in the space. So it's a very unique value proposition because almost every meme coin is male dominated, and this one absolutely is themed to women and females, and of course men, because naturally males are a dominant space in the crypto world. And the bottom line is we all have something in common. We all want to be successful in meme coins. So that's the general origin of the coin, but it's slowly morphed into much more than this. But that was the original idea. It was really just an idea, almost like hey, let's throw this against the wall and see if it works. But I think there was some hope between Greg, Chris, and Kevin that it would bite and catch, and it really did.
So there's a whole host of things, from high heels to Victoria's Secret bras and underwear, and to technology, even women's lady products, makeup, a bunch of these things that are used by women that are made by men. And the question I have is, like, how do you, so obviously, again, based on those very popular things in the real world that are made by men but women love, is there a problem that Chadette is solving, whether it be loneliness? Is it just all about women empowerment? And I know there's a bunch of, you said, female influencers that are pumped by it. They probably have decent sized bags. Is there anyone on the dev team, or is there any spokesperson for Chadette that is a woman, or right now is it all men?
Let's put it this way. Talk to me in a few weeks. That's all I could say.
Okay.
Something is about to explode, and that's all I'm going to say.
So you can be quiet for this part. I'm going to go in and do my psychoanalysis here. You probably have at least one, if not multiple, big women influencers, whether it's like Wendy O, Las Vegas Barbie. You could have Miss Rose or from the VeVe community. Probably someone that's fairly influential. That is a woman that is about to send this to the moon. And obviously you don't have to say anything to confirm or deny that, but that's just what I'm picking up where you're dropping down.
I'm extremely bullish. I mean, beyond belief, and I'm so excited about what is going to happen in regards to that conversation. So, yeah.
We'll have to have you on again. Slavin Slavko says, that's why I love Sharby. It's the first female token. And so, yeah, there's definitely a lot here. There's a reason why even in something like Avengers, okay, you had Black Widow in there and all the way up to Avengers Endgame, you just had the entire A-Force in there. Peter Parker's like, oh man, how am I going to get through all this? And then all the women of like the A-Force, whether it's Mantis, whether it's Captain Marvel, you had, trying to think of the rest of the women there from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, don't worry, she'll have help. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So yeah, if it's something for women to be able to rally around, I think that's really fun. As Tima is one of our latest influencers in the space.
And to be honest with you, I don't know. I'm just to be, completely transparent. I don't know much about Sharby. I was introduced to you guys through a friend, Ashok. And, obviously I'm on this show because of him. And I've been my head's been down grinding behind the scenes, with Chadette. So I haven't had time to do much research on Sharby, but, it sounds like you guys are literally aligned with the same conceptual idea of embracing and empowering women. And I love the idea that Sharby.
Oh yeah, Sharby's great.
Like,
so that
just went off again.
Can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me? Because I'm
able to hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
My alarm keeps going off and it keps messing up.
You gotta stop hitting the snooze button.
I just shut it off. I'm just excited to hear. I'm not sure where I cut off, but that I didn't really and don't know much about Sharby just because my head's been buried since Ashok told me about the show, and my head's been buried with Chadette behind the scenes. And it's great to hear that there's so much, there's so much parallel between what's going on with Chadette and Sharby, it sounds like. And I love the fact that, Sharby is a female focused coin as well. And there's not many of those in the space. So I think that's what makes both of these so unique. I love this.
Yeah. Shout out to Ashok, been in here representing for a minute now. And what I really like about Sharby is just that you have All Dolled Up and Hero as like a really good like 1-2 combo where they go into things like, again, they got me into SHIRO Nico. SHIRO's I think there's a couple of people here from the SHIRO. Yeah, Carlos from the SHIRO family. And the reason I found them is through daCAT. So I don't really, I mean, we'll have a little bit of Sharby, and Sharby's going to be in the comic I'm writing. But how I met Sharby was through daCAT, and I wanted to get, because I'm writing a comic for VeVe. Do you know what VeVe is? Grant?
I'm sorry, say that. It just cut out for a second.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Do you know what VeVe is?
I'm sorry. Hold on one second. You know what? Can you just
Hanging
pull it up in Waze? I won't be able to know that stuff. Can you just pull it up on your phone in Waze? All right, cool. Just keep me posted. All right. I'm sorry. Go for it. I'm sorry. I 30 seconds of getting distracted with something, and I'm back in.
I understand. I also go into drive-throughs at convenient times. I don't know if that was it, but
no. I'm just en route, and we have Waze. Waze wasn't connecting, so.
Gotcha. Do you know what VeVe is?
No, I don't.
It's a high-end 3D digital collectibles platform. It's sold like 12 million NFTs, and it's got these crazy partnerships with like Marvel, Universal, Disney, MGM, DC, Star Wars, Aston Martin, Lamborghini, all like the major stuff that everyone wants, right? And the daCAT community put me in charge of making a comic so that I could put it up on the VeVe app because I'm their biggest influencer. I know the team. I'm friends with the founders. And I said, okay, this is cool, but the costing like a couple $100 a page for the artist to draw everything and the coloring. So I thought it would be a cool idea to get other meme communities in there. They pay to be in the comic. That pays for the art. And then they'll be on VeVe where there's, again, 10 to 12 million collectibles and comics have been sold. They're shoulder to shoulder with Marvel. So Sharby was like the first one in there, the first one to say, yeah, let's do it. And then after that, I had said, hey, let's get some more people in. So you have like Crappy Bird that's in, you have Chaos on the Chains that's in, like these gaming tokens. And then Pro the Doge is even a character. So Sharby is really cool in the fact that they were one of the first ones to believe in us. They'll be in that ecosystem. They'll be on that comic. And I've gotten to know All Dolled Up and her husband Hiro through that. And Shiro Nico, we're hoping to get Shiro Nico. It's another cat coin in there at some point. I still have to talk to the animator about it. So that's what we're trying to do for branding. For you, Mr. Grant, for Chadette, obviously you guys have some big partnerships in there. Somebody said that there's another recent, I think Tima is one of the recent ones that you have. That's kind of pumping it, or Tima's their latest influencer on the space. Do you guys have any plans for whether it's a comic or like a comic strip, viral videos on TikTok, YouTube Shorts? What's the plan for branding right now?
The biggest part of branding, I think that's brewing. There's about 15 team members right now between the core team and the expanded team. And everybody's just grinding behind the scenes, but has different interests. So there's one area that's been going really heavy, which is merch. So I think the biggest part of the branding right now happening is through merch. That's also going to touch into team as well. And also there's one so there's a lot of different things that are brewing, but it's almost like stages. So there's stuff that's immediate happening where, certain items can be drop shipped, as we speak. And then there's sort of the next stage of merch where it will probably morph more into something where it becomes a luxury brand. It actually might even, I don't want to say disconnect from the core brand of Chadette as a coin, but it might be two subcategories. In other words, it might morph into there's Chadette the coin, and then there's Chadette the luxury brand, like a Victoria's Secrets. So I know that's more of a longer term milestone. And to be quite honest with you, there's a lot of different areas that we're all working on, and I purposely am not focused anywhere on the merch. So I don't even know what the day-to-day updates and progress is on the building of that part of the branding, because I'm focused in other areas that are really sucking up my time in a good way. And I'm basically like, guys, I'm not interested in the merch part as much. I'm interested in these areas. So you guys, whoever wants to run with it, you guys are running with that. And maybe we can get some updates from time to time, maybe on a weekly basis, but you guys are deep in there. I'm deep in here, or I'm deep in here with others. And we're all kind of picking our levels of interest depending on what's going on. So for me, just to kind of full circle this, where I'm majorly focused is more at a sort of the equivalent of like executive level, where I'm looking at this from a huge 50-foot drop, and I'm looking at how all of the working pieces are to get to the final port. So I'll give you a conceptual idea. Most meme coins launch like a boat out into the sea, and they don't really have a port, a destination. They just say, hey, let's launch this coin. It's a cool idea. We'll make a lot of money. That's all it is. And then it grows from there. But the reality is, for true success, you really need to know what your port is. That's your final destination. So the final destination in my eyes is Binance or Coinbase. and multi-cycle coin, right? So now you have to ask yourself, start with the end in mind, and how do you reverse engineer that? And think of a boat that just goes out to sail across the sea from one country or continent to the other. Well, now I know which direction to sail, or we know which direction to sail. And now we have to figure out every day, we have to row 1 mile closer to that destination. And every day we have a storm. There's always drama of the day in every meme coin. And it shifts you off left to right. It shifts you off course. So are you paying attention to that? Do you know where your final destination is? Are you asking yourself every day, we need to make sure we re-steer the boat towards our port and make a left, make a right, adjust and paddle forward? Or do people just keep going around in circles and chasing, the next cool idea of the day, or the shiny red object, so to speak? So the biggest part of what I'm doing is I'm focused, because I'm an entrepreneur, in outside of crypto. I own a business, and so I'm really focused on every day making sure that the boat is always steering and readjusting and moving 1 mile closer to our port, which is a long-term milestone to reach. And with that, there are major areas to focus on, like, for example, how to build a hard diamond floor with long-term thinking holders. So you don't want the average KOL that you pay to go shill it, and then you get 1,000 people or 100 people to go buy the coin, because they're basically looking for quick trades. So they're not going to do anything for you. They're good later on to get some volume, but they're really not good in the foundation building phase. What you need to do is you need to attract the best types of holders that really are thinking long term, that are genuinely not daily or weekly or even monthly traders, but looking at this at a serious market cap. So we're at 2+ mil right now. Well, I haven't checked, to be honest with you, since early this morning, so I have no idea where we are, but I would have guessed it's there. And the idea is that I'm not taking this seriously until we get to 100 million plus. Like, this is a joke. 2 million. Like, we're just a baby. We're 1 year old right now. So that's my primary focus, where the average KOL follower in meme space, 99% of them, they're looking to make money tomorrow or the next day. They're not looking for that long-term strategy. So when I'm thinking about helping build out this, like a Fortune 500 company, I'm looking at how to build the foundation. And you have guys like, Monkey and A-Shock that are doing these amazing spaces and have a very high level of followers that are dedicated and devoted, and they're building this based on incredible education, and they're attracting people, and they're educating people to understand what a long hold is. Like, don't chase the red candles and the green candles. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hurt. It's like going to Vegas. Have a long-term mindset. That's how you really make money in the meme space. And so these are the types of people that are starting to become fans of Chadette, and they're starting to help build the diamond floor. There's other aspects too that I can go into, but so I'm focused on that. You're focused on how to strengthen liquidity, and it's a massive, complex conversation and strategy. So that's an ongoing conversation that we're always building on, and we're learning every day, and we're doing better every day. So we're building that out, and there's a whole conversation on our tier one exchange game plan. And you don't just go on a tier one exchange. Like, for example, you can't get on Bybit unless you're doing 15 million daily volume a day. Like, nobody's ready for that at this level. So how do you get there? Again, start with the end in mind, reverse engineer. So there's a whole strategy built how to get to a tier one exchange, build that out. So all these tentacles, I've just named like 4 or 5 of them. Think about this. There's about 50 of these tentacles that will ensure that we will get to our final port, which is Coinbase or Binance. And so they're all being worked on. And I'm looking at these and helping manage these at the highest level and figuring out who's interested, who's capable of working with these together. And that's where my head's buried. And I know merch is one of those tentacles. And I'm like, okay, these guys on the team are pushing those. So they're in good hands, and we're gaining traction with that. But I'm not, I'm at a high level. I'm not in the weeds to know the details that I know some of the other guys would be able to chime in on. And that could be a part 2 to this too, to get a little deeper. So I know I went a little crazy there with a lot of information, but I just wanted to
That
give you a
is
little idea of
fine.
like where my role is in the coin. And everyone's got a unique role in this coin, but that's kind of where I sit.
Yeah, that is absolutely fine. So there's again, the high end stuff I really like, because you don't have to sell, like, let's say you do like dresses, like you don't have to sell 1,000 dresses, or one, you don't have to pay to make 1,000 dresses. If it's high end, you could have it like there's maybe 20 or 30 out there, and all's like for example, there's like 900 people here right now. You don't need all 900 people to get a bag. You can make it super super exclusive, and you could say, like, instead of charging $20 a bag for, I don't know if they cost maybe a couple dollars to make, depending on where you make them. You could make it at a couple hundred, even a couple thousand a bag. You could offer those discounts. If you pay with the Chadette token, you can go and say, hey, a portion of these are going to buybacks and a portion of those are going to burns. This way you can constantly fill up that kitty. You can constantly fill up that war chest. And you even have people in here already that have been saying that, I don't know, it's the wrong one, that Chadette's a true investment, team community, long-lasting impact. And the merch line of Chadette is going to be killer. You're going to have to get some for the Sharby team. And so there's an episode of BoJack Horseman where Sarah Lynn, who's a kind of main character in there for a little while, somebody pays her like $8,000 to wear their shirt, and she's like, I don't even need the money. I just am stoked that somebody wants me to wear their clothes. And again, you could have like in Pokemon, they have like these pre-releases that they do, where it's given out to X amount of people, whether it's employees, whether it's winners of certain tournaments, and then they hand out the rest via packs or wherever it is. And I feel like if you did those like pre-release series of like, hey, there's 5 of these, and even like the team has to be like, they don't have access to them, like they're gonna have to pay a certain amount to get into the pre-release, to get an auction or a raffle ticket, and then the rest are going to go to whoever's the first 30 or whoever.
Yeah.
Again, these are just random ideas.
Yeah, no, I love that way of thinking, and I love that concept. And even the idea of like, you have your sort of general merch, like your common tees and things like that, and just to go to crypto events, especially crypto events in real life that somehow involve meme coins or have a meme coin audience, just to kind of hand out those T-shirts. This is at the basic level of just promotion. I think ideas like this, and again, you might come up with 5 or 10 ideas like that, or like what you said, and everywhere in between. Those are, I think, they're incredible strategies. They cost a little bit of time and money, but well worth it. And I think that's the way to do it, alongside of the bigger planned out concepts that obviously take a little bit more time and a little bit more money to build out too. And I think in concert, everything together really will help kind of boom that merch. Because the biggest challenge with merch is you need an audience first who's interested in merch. You can't just make the merch and just expect it to be sold. You need a demand for it. So what little strategies and tricks can you do at the ground level to build demand? And then once you build demand, you start to increase a bigger audience and a bigger want. And a bigger need for supply, and then you kind of have that cycle of growing and growing and growing. So it's exciting because also, again, the merch team's going to know more about this, but like, how do you utilize the profits, right? How do you utilize the profits to reinvest back into the project so that the project just exponentially grows? So it's really exciting to utilize merch as just one way to grow the project alongside other ways. It's really exciting. I will say this, because I really haven't mentioned this, but I think one of the things I'm most proud of about this project is that, it's so easy to say, yeah, we have diamond hands. Like, it's such a cliche thing to say, or to hear. But the reality of this is that we have a system whereby we have two elite groups within our Telegram One is called the dolphins and one's called the whales. In order to be a dolphin, you need to hold 1 million or more. In order to be a whale, you need to hold 10 million or more. And what's amazing about this concept is that it really does work because, and you know, you have to have a good community and you have to be able to manage these groups well and have everybody like-minded in the group to work. And we have this, which is really nice. But what's incredible about it is it gets everybody in the dolphin group to want to grow towards a whale. And essentially the rule of being in the group is that if you get in the group, you got to dox your wallet to prove you own that coin, that much coin. And then you're not allowed to sell it nowhere near where we're at now. So this is a buy and hold group. This is not, there's no trading involved at this level. And that's the primary concept of the dolphin and whale. So it encourages and confirms and validates that everyone that becomes a member of this group, yes, you're able to be on a different level of having your voice heard and strategizing the growth of the coin, and even being involved in information that is more helpful, you know, from a smaller group rather than just like the main group with thousands of people in it. And then as you get to the whale group, it's an even more refined group with even more specialties and so the idea is really to encourage people to want to build up there. And as long as people are genuinely in this as a long holder, this is all we want to attract. We don't want to attract traders. We want to attract investors. So if you genuinely say you're an investor and you're a long holder and you want to be in this group, no problem. Dox your wallet. Boom. We have 50 dolphins and I have to check, but I think we have about 18 to 20 whales. And this is a massive reason why, if you look at the chart, you'll see we have an up and to the right action. We have a huge floor that's growing. We have sustained two major red wicks that green coins would never have survived, especially at this early stage in our growth. One was a hack that was around 2 mil that brought us down to like 500 or even around 500K. It was a dramatic hack. You can look at the wick. We ate that up in probably an hour. And we were like pretty much getting right back. It was insanity. Then we had another guy who sold 10 mil, which again, massive crush, a massive blow to our project and could have, you know, really killed a lot of projects. But the strength of the community and the strength of the diamond floors and the commitment of the dolphins and the whales, man, ate that up like it was breakfast. And you can see the second big wick. Now, again, nobody can nobody can be fully protected from bad actors. It just happens as part of the meme space, and you're bound to have not a perfect crowd in there. But our retention rate is massive. It's 99, 98%. That's for dolphins and whales. And, we're able to sustain this. And trust me, the whales are sitting there going, you know, we don't want this to happen, but if it happens again, we'll eat you for breakfast again. We got this, no problem. So it's incredible what we have in regards to strength. And that is making us battle tested, as Murad always says. That is proven that we are battle tested. And you can see it in our chart. It's just something I think I'm most proud of about this coin. So one insurance policy for me personally that I believe is going to ensure that we get to our 100 million plus goal, which is really my first milestone. I'm not looking at anything until we get there.
I feel it. And I feel like right now, whales, especially diamond hand hodlers, they only have so much in the tank that they're ready to go in and say, yeah, we can do this. We can get in there and take care of it. However, there's going to come a time, and I can't find the post here, but there's going to come a time where these whales that have other investments, those other investments go up, and suddenly you don't just have one whale might not have an extra 20K worth of stuff in the war chest to buy those dips, but now suddenly they have 80K. And maybe at that point, they don't wait for the dips. Maybe at that point, again, Wes talking about VeVe, one of my biggest positions up like 20% today. So if there's any type of major dip in daCAT, I don't have just X amount of money in order to go and buy the dip. Now I can not only take over that dip. And again, I'm just one person. But if you have a team of people like there is in daCAT, or like there seems to be in SHIRO, or like you guys on Chadette, at some point, one of your other things is going to go up, hopefully multiple other things as this bull market takes hold. Because right now, like the market's been absolutely pummeled over the last couple of months, just because you have like the tariff war, you have the Russia war that we thought would have ended by now. And it's really not been bullish for the markets. However, the pillars are being built where the SEC is no longer suing Coinbase. They're no longer suing Kraken. They dropped like 8 of their, like almost their entire roster of tokens that they were attacking, or crypto projects they were attacking.
Yeah.
And then you had the crypto czar David Sacks say like, no, meme coins and NFTs, they're just collectibles. So you really have this insulated protection now. And whenever that sentiment flips from, obviously Bitcoin going from 108 to like 76, whatever, that was pretty bearish.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at some point there's going to be a reversal, and there's going to be money hand over fist being made over here. You have the
reversal always happens as soon as you sell. In my history, anytime I've ever sold, it's just all right, pumps. And anytime I ever buy, it just holds or goes down. I mean, I'm kind of joking, but isn't it funny? I mean, how many times has it happened?
Life do be
my
funny
friends
like
take
that.
Joke about it all the time. So funny.
What are so obviously for you mentioned before about what do we do with these funds? How do we get it to grow? For daCAT, what we're doing is, as we take a bunch of those funds, we'll be doing buybacks, we'll be doing giveaways, all the normal stuff, the pumpamentals. But one of my first businesses, actually my first business after I left the military, was high risk lending. And I'm going to forsake my retirement, I guess, next year. And instead of going off and doing whatever, I'm going to go back to high risk lending with the funds that we accrue for daCAT. And so for example, high risk lending out to business owners that have between 500 and 600 credit, stuff that banks will absolutely say no to. They have no choice but to go through us.
That's such a great idea. I love this.
So I started in 2017 with like $2,000 to my name, and by 2019, so it took about 2.5 years, but by 2019, I had over 100K. And I'm not going to say I'm going to be working 80 hours a week for daCAT, but I'll do a normal 40. And we're going to start with much more than 2,000. We're going to start with, I mean, the first comic will gross $20,000-$30,000, and that's just the first one. The first one's already written. It's halfway animated. The second one I'm already more than halfway done with. So it's quite possible that we have tens of thousands of dollars in the war chest to start with. And in 2 years, for that next, all throughout the bear, whenever that is, let's say 26, 27, and then 28, maybe we start going up again. I don't know, but
that's what I think.
I want daCAT to have well over I want daCAT to have well in the 6 figures in their war chest. And that's just from the daCAT revenues. That's just from the comics and the high risk lending. That's not from the rest of the whales that are going to have millions, if not tens of millions.
That's a great roadmap. It really is. I'm actually curious, because in conventional lending, of course you get a credit score that's below a certain amount. If you just profile the public, you'd say, okay, those are really, bad borrowers, and they're more at risk to default. So we don't want to lend to them, or we want to give them a high interest rate so we can make sure that we make something if they default. Where you're going about it, and you're kind of giving them a chance. Sometimes people deserve a second chance, or, for some reason their credit score is just not that good, and it's almost not even entirely their fault, and you're giving them a chance. How do you manage and mitigate that risk? Because obviously you're doing something right, because you move forward and grew, but you have to be careful and vet how you just can't take anyone on, right? Like, how does that work? That's actually interesting.
So what I do, so even the applications that I would get, 98% of them are trash, because they make no money. These business owners, they're always negative in their account. They just want these funds to essentially just pay their bills, and that's not what we're about. There's these business owners that the banks will say no to because they have 600 something credit, and granted, a lot of times the banks are correct in doing that, but these banks are leaving these really good businesses and a lot of money on the table, because of just the credit score. And if you look into it, it's like a doctor will go to a patient and be like, okay, you have high cholesterol. But any physician or nutritionist that's worth their salt will say like, okay, well, is that high HDL or is that high AD or LDL? Like difference between good and bad cholesterol. If it's high because it's high good cholesterol, that's fine. And we're basically doctors of these businesses say like, okay, why is the credit 600? Is it because do you not pay your bills? Or is it because, okay, you just went through a divorce and you have, say you're a contractor and you have, 200,000 that you're waiting for in future receivables. And for contractors, especially that do commercial, they don't get paid for sometimes like 60 or 90 days after the job is done. So they complete a job and they want to take on more work. And like, okay, let me use the money that I have to pay my people, and I'll take out credit cards to get supplies from Home Depot or Lowe's, and that's why the credit goes down, because they're over leveraged. Meanwhile, they're worth a couple $100,000 in future receivables that they'll get paid, so they just need a bridge loan. So going into the bank statements and see what they're spending their money on. Like I remember this one dude, I don't know how anyone else missed it. He seemed to have decent average daily balances, never really went in the negative. But every time he would get more than a couple $1,000s in there, it would immediately go, I go, hey, what's this ATM charge? All right, he's taking out $500, $800. Like, what is this for? And then you Google where the ATM is, and it's in a casino, and it's like, oh, okay, this guy's just gambling away all his stuff. We should never lend to someone like that. And a couple of my friends did, and he defaulted. And I was like, I told you guys not to do it. So it's really going into the bank statements and seeing what they're spending their money on. And one, if there is that their only bank account, you need all accounts. And then at that time, you have to have them sign what's called a confession of judgment, or COJ, to say that, hey, if I default on this, I can heck you up. Like we'll eat. Obviously you don't want to do that. You want them to not only pay you off, like to avoid usury charges, you can only go up to 24.99%. But a lot of these banks out there that say like, hey, we're going to give you this loan for 5 years or whatever, and if you pay off early, you have to pay like this penalty. For us, we typically don't go out for longer than a year. And we tell them like, hey, if you're only going to need this for a couple months, you pay us off early and we'll give you this prepayment discount. Opposite of banks, we reward people for their good behavior. And yeah, we might only make 18% in 3 months, but like, I will fucking take that all day. And that's where the phrase
Build
I
that
love
up,
this.
it adds up,
Yeah, I mean, so it's yeah. Sorry.
It's really it's really interesting, really intriguing what you're saying. I love the fact that you're hardcore with the due diligence and you're doing it right. It's really interesting too, because I don't know if you've gone down this path or you're already doing it, but it would be interesting if you went down the path of the niche of real estate investors, especially those who flip, because they're generally always looking for these hard money lenders, and you can almost take take a little bit of that market. And a lot of these guys, again, what they'll do is like say they'll buy a house for 250. They know they're going to do the renovation, so they'll do 100,000 renovation. They'll put it on the market for let's say they do 50,000 renovation, and they put it on the market for 375, and they have this rinse and repeat formula, right? And if your company or your project can get a little bit more, or if you already have knowledge of it, or if you don't, if you can get some knowledge of it to do due diligence in that market specifically, so you can actually read deals and understand, after value, what is it, after what is it, AVP or I'm not in real estate, so I forget what it is, but whoever's in real estate is probably laughing right now listening. But really just looking at the numbers and saying, okay, we see, not only are we seeing you and your credit and your background, but we're looking at your deals, and we will be willing to lend to you because we see the advantage of your situation and your deals coming up. Or, hey, we see you don't have the best credit and you really don't have some good deals on the table, so we don't want to take a risk on this because we really think it's going to fail. We don't want to take a chance on it. So that's an interesting niche if you were to able to go into that as well. And then on top of that, I just wanted to add one thing and just kind of get your feedback on it is, for anybody, this is just general notes for credit. a lot of people don't know this. And again, it's interesting because you're using these parameters. You know, the obvious, a hard inquiry is going to drop your score, right? And it does a pretty decent damage to it. I think it stays on for a year or a certain amount, 18 months or something. So anytime you run your credit, you know, a hard check, it's like, all right, be careful. Don't just do that. Number two, the age of, like, if let's say you have like 5 credit cards, let's say you have a credit card that's 20 years old and a credit card that's, you know, 15 years old and a credit card that's 10 years old. You have an average of 15 years. And then you go open up a credit card today, you've just killed your average history length. And that actually brings down your credit score. So opening up a new credit card or credit line or loan is not a good idea unless you actually have to. Don't just do it to do it. Understand the repercussions. And one final note on credit that I've learned is that you have cards with balances on them. If you have cards with balancing on them and you have 0 and you just don't ever use it, it's good that, hey, I have this much available credit and I'm using 0% of it. Okay, that looks good, because you don't want, you know, 100 grand and you're using up 90% and you're using up 90% of the credit. It looks bad, right? So having more credit available helps balance that ratio. But little did I know that if you have a credit card and it's just sitting there for a year or two and you're not using it, that's bad. So literally, I was at a point where I was getting a mortgage. I took a credit card I wasn't using for, you know, a year or two. And it was, you know, might have had like 20 grand on it and 000 for years. And I was advised, go to 7-Eleven, buy a cup of coffee with the card, pay it off, and call me back in a week. It was a credit repair. And I didn't need credit repair. I just needed somebody to kind of help me boost a couple of points to get over a point, a level, a tier. And sure enough, within a week or a couple of days, my credit score went up like 20 points because I bought a cup of coffee at 7-Eleven, paid it off with a credit card. So incredible concepts here for people to know, just credit alone. But you're looking at this from the other side and you're determining, you know, okay, look, this guy had a hard inquiry and his credit score went down. I'm not going to hold that against him. You know, so that's the kind of thinking. I love what you're doing, you know, because you're thinking like a human being and not a machine, you know?
So yeah, there's multiple ways to go about it, and there's so many comments here. I can't keep up. For real estate, it's hard because if it's a contractor that's working for like a big real estate company, I can tell easier if they're going to pay back because, hey, how much do you have that's in the kitty here? When do you get your next draw? When is this job going to be completed? And also like where it is, because if you're in the Northeast in like the winter, it's like, okay, you're not going to complete this job. It snows, it rains, it's like there's multiple days or weeks you're not going to work. But if it's in like the Southwest, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're fine. You can, I'll give this contractor this loan in November because there's probably not going to be too many snowstorms in the Southwest. So it gets hard for the real estate because a lot of times if we're giving it to these big giant real estate developers and they don't have income for until the house sells, you know, we're not getting paid until that house sells. We have to hope that they finish it. We have to hope their guys. At a lot of times in construction, you hire felons, you hire addicts, you hire people because one, they're hard workers because they want to get that fixed, they want to pay their bills, but also you run the risk of them going on a bender. You run the risk of that. Like most of the contracts and construction guys that I've known, their employees have like a lot of issues. So it gets hard. That's something that I typically stay away from because I'm not as good as determining whether those guys will pay back as say like a trucking company. That I know their routes. I know, like, if anything, I could help them get more additional routes so they're not just getting paid one way, they get paid on the way back as well. Or anything in a shop where they have daily revenue. For me, that's kind of my bread and butter.
I love you're focusing on your niches. Like, again, I just brought real estate up as an example, but I get it. It's very complex, but I love that you're focusing on, like, I know this industry, so I know how to sniff out the good and the bad. And I think that's what I was getting at, is that I love what you're doing. I think it's incredible. This guy, and I love the fact that you're filling a void that, you know, in conventional, you know, in the conventional world, you know, you have people who are borrowers and lenders, And lenders are generally like, they just run by this big system. And there's so many people, there's so much good money that's left on the table because the computer system says this is a good applicant, this is a bad applicant. And you're sniffing out the ones in the middle that everyone's leaving money on the table, and you're grabbing those. I think that's what you're doing. So it's great.
Pretty much. I mean, these big banks that they like, we're never going to get these like $5 million deals, but we're also never doing a deal for like 3%. Sure, you could have this person with 840 credit and they'll guarantee pay back, but you know, for 3%, like it's so much. Like, what if God forbid this person dies? What if God forbid they default? Again, they're probably not. They have 840 credit, but for the super small amount of money that we make, it's not worth it. And a lot of people saying, okay, well, you're not doing these, you know, giant 8-9 figure deals. You're doing these things for sometimes as little as like 10 grand. And it's like, they're crumbs. Like, that's fine. I will live off crumbs. I will get fat off of these crumbs. And I did. And that's what's going to help the cat get crazy. So what I might do is I might take investors as well, where if you guys, obviously you guys have big plans for all that you want to do for the merch, for the utility for the token. But if you guys want to go in and say like, hey, we'll go in this with you next year and we'll give you, you know, like 10,000 or whatever, and I'll give you, I don't know, a guaranteed, let's say guaranteed 10% a year. I know that's like nothing, but it's guaranteed. You'll have my thing on, and again, we'll do whatever. And by that time, if you have a crazy market cap, and you guys are not worth 2 million, if you guys are worth 200 million, and you want to say, hey, let's do some real work. You've never had this working capital of $1 million. Let's give it to you. And then same thing, I could guarantee you 10% per year. And that's just a way that you get yourselves that additional revenue stream. So again, obviously we'll talk. A lot of stuff has to happen before then. There's a chance that the cat takes off and I don't take investors.
No, absolutely. Let's you know, that's obviously love to. I'm always open to ideas and collaboration. So we should definitely set up a call with a few of us, you know, if needed on both sides, and you know, talk out some ideas. I think these are all really cool, creative ideas, and I always say, you know, always be open to these opportunities. You know, hash out the ideas, and then, you know, you're always looking for win-wins. So why not, right? I think these are all worth exploring. 100%. I love what you're doing.
And we could do, so there's before Suicide Squad, Will Smith and Margot Robbie were in some type of football medical concussion movie beforehand, and they did that so they can get a rapport going, and this way they have chemistry together for Suicide Squad. So maybe we do a couple of smaller deals. Maybe we get Chadette in the daCAT comic. Maybe we go in and we have some type of sponsorship. And this way we get comfortable. Before I ask you to like write a check for $1 million, let me go. Let's do some smaller deals here. And again, there's 1,100 people here, so there's we got to get. We'll take the fans and we'll be like, yes, we will ship ourselves together. And my friend, and again, if you know people, my friend Teresa, so all of these ladies or all of these clients that I would have, they had crap credit. What a lot of these credit repair companies do is they do work. They charge you $100, $200 a month, whatever it is. But what they do is they take off one like bad credit discharge or bad whatever off of your credit each month. So it works, but it takes several months for it to a lot of stuff to drop off. What Teresa did, she took like X amount of months, learned the entire industry, and basically found out, hey, all of these creditors, it's like they're these apps that you say like, oh, do like a free week trial, and then you forget that your week trial is like over, and they charge you $3 a month, $10 a month, whatever it is. A lot of these credit companies, it's like the same thing. It's like, hey, this isn't right, this isn't right. And as soon as you write the letters, as soon as you do whatever, like they fall off, they drop off immediately. So I think she charges like $250 a month, and I've had people go from like 500 to 700 inside of a couple of months. That is one of the probably best things that I've been able to do for my clients. Now, obviously, I haven't had anyone do that in years because I've been out the game for a while, but that's something else that, again, if you know a lot of people, I'll refer to my friend Teresa, and then they'll that credit stuff gets fixed very, very quickly.
This is great information. Obviously great information for everyone. I love it. I love it. And yeah, there's no reason why we shouldn't hop on a call one day and just explore any sort of collaborative ideas that we might be able to partner up on. So I think all these are incredible ideas.
Yeah. So anyway, we've sorry, taking a photo. We've gone up for about an hour now. What is there anything that I haven't gone over? I have a couple of things that I want to ask, but how long do I have you for? Because I'll go for 3 hours.
I probably have about only 10 minutes left.
Okay, then I will do like one more question here, and then we'll talk offline for a minute. So the question is, Chadette, what is her story? How old is she? How is she a Pisces? What year was she born in? Like what Chinese animal in the zodiac is she? Is she a dog? Is she a dragon? Again, Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius. What is the lore behind Chadette?
Wow, that's too deep for me to answer.
Right.
But Chadette was born on February 13th and was I believe, if you go back to the chart, I think I want to say because I thought originally it was born on she was born on a Valentine's Day, but she was born the day before Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe she passed bonding on the 15th. If we look at the chart, I think the first day is the 15th, if not the 14th, but I think it was the 15th. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the 15th. And no, I mean, I think I hit it earlier, but the real story behind Chadette was that it was a conceptual idea, from the core devs. This idea of every Chad deserves a Chadette. Like that was the original slogan that drove the idea. And I think it really comes down to, in the beginning, it was just like a fun idea. But within a week or so, we quickly all started to realize this is legitimately a coin to help represent the Web3 women of this space and anyone who's generally into crypto and into meme coins, from the female perspective, obviously knowing that there was always going to be males involved because it's a male dominated industry to begin with. And we really started to jump on that. And immediately what I saw was that community members were going crazy with AI content. We have a massive library of AI content, both now imagery and videos that have been made and currently are just continually being made. And, I think the majority, I could be wrong because I haven't really counted who's doing the most, but I know at least one of our major content creators is Isabel is just cranking them out. She's incredible with AI and doing some amazing things. So every time I go into our media library, which is public on our TG, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I'm looking at what was done and I'm like, oh my God, this looks amazing. So realistic, so interesting. And it's pretty cool because we have this content represents everything. I mean, I've seen Chadette in a wheelchair, Chadette as a mother, Chadette as a grandmother reading to a child, Chadette as, a sexy, confident woman, just strutting her strut and everywhere in between. It's almost like there's a representation of so many different people in life. So it's almost like the question I always ask myself is, are you a Chadette? And, the basic idea here is it's a meme coin. It's here to help focus and empower women of Web3 and give them a place, a home, give them confidence if they need it. And it's a welcoming community. There's no toxicity here. And I've been involved with toxic communities. This is such a breath of fresh air. It's very welcoming. And I love the fact that we're able to tie men and women together and work together and do it proudly and do it open-mindedly. And I think, painting the ship as it sails. Like, I don't think the branding is finished. I don't think the story is finished. I think we're creating it as we speak. and there's been a lot of ideas to throw out, but I really just think it really just comes down to this incredible combo of men and women coming together for a very female influenced style and focus themed coin, and a place where if you're sick of the rug pulls and you're sick of the day traders, you have a bunch of like-minded people here who are generally looking to grow this thing massively. We're not, and we're holding the chart really strong, and we have to prove it. And so it's a place for long-term thinkers, so that's how I see it right now. And I really think the brand and the story is going to morph more as we move on. We're literally painting the ship as it sails.
Agreed. I'm trying to think. If February 13th, okay, Aquarius, if born this year, the year of the snake, but if Chadette's already an adult, maybe it was her anniversary of her like cotillion or whatever, her coming out party. Generally they're like 16 though, so maybe like I just want to have Chadette, like the lore. And again, we'll have you on again, and we'll have more people on to go in and be like, okay, yeah, born on this date is a boar in the zodiac and not a snake. I don't know. I'm hella curious because I love that type of world building. And if we're gonna get Chadette in the daCAT comic, I'm gonna need to know these things.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely. And to be honest with you, the core team alone may have a lot more. I'm in here, solo representing right now, but these are the spokes of the wheel that I might not have been as involved in as I'm doing some other heavy lifting behind the scenes. And so the core team may have some of these answers a little bit more solid, that you may already have these answers from them too. So again, offline and even a continuation, we can regroup and fill you in if there's additional information that I'm not aware of. We'll catch you up and update you. You might even have the full story between what I've told you and what other core team members here have sort of developed. And I just, so many moving parts. I might not have been in that day, or I might not have been at that meeting. So it's very possible we have the finished story, and I'm not even aware of it.
That's fair. We'll
fill you in behind the scenes for sure if we have it.
I feel okay. Well, I know we got to get you out of here. We'll talk off. Thank you to the 1,250 people that are here. We'll go out and we'll talk off camera for like a minute. I know you have to go. Everyone, thanks for coming. I love you all. Until next time, class dismissed. Everyone say bye-bye to Dad.